Hi, and welcome to the Passionistas Project podcast, where we tell the stories of empowered women who are following their passions to inspire you to do the same. We're Amy and Nancy Harrington, and today we're talking with Sara Koo. Sara is the founder of Kaya Essentials, a skincare and lifestyle company based in Koreatown, Los Angeles. The seeds of her company were planted when Sara was a young girl and would make coconut hair masks with her mother. Her research on fair trade coconut oil inspired her to turn those early experiences into a company, which not only creates amazing products, but gives back to the Filipino community. She recently expanded the company by partnering with female Filipino artisans to bring their one-of-a-kind pieces to the global market. So please welcome to the show, Sara Koo.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
What's the one thing you're most passionate about?
I'm most passionate about making a social impact, focusing on how, on the individual level, each and every person can make a difference, and the importance of small steps, small acts of kindness that together have a big impact when you bring community together. And that brought me to create my business, Kai Essentials.
So tell us about that.
Kaya Essentials is a clean, organic coconut skincare line, and we recently expanded to a lifestyle with artisan goods. But it really started, about 5 years ago when I was first introduced to the concept of a social business. And that was when I was in college. I was studying history. It's something that I wasn't really passionate about doing, but I was so nervous as to what my career was going to be. So instead of going to art school, which was always my passion growing up, it's really funny how when you look back and look at your most memorable, enjoyable times, it's really the things that, that you're passionate about, but you never really realize that, that's going to bring you the most purpose in life. So I ended up studying history, and I really knew that I wasn't in the right space. I was trying so hard to, succeed in my studies, and it wasn't something that came naturally to me. But at the same time, I was studying Asian history, which I was really passionate about because I'm half Filipino, half English. I was born in Hong Kong. So I have a very international background, kind of a third culture kid to the max. So I was born in Hong Kong, lived there for 10 years, lived in India for 2 years, Istanbul in Turkey for 3 years, and then finally moved to the UK and lived there for 5 years before moving to LA. So yeah, I was really passionate about studying Asian history, getting to know my culture in more in depth, and I saw on our career bulletin board that there was a talk on a Filipino nonprofit called Gawad Kalinga, and the founder was going to talk about entrepreneurship and social business. And I had never heard of the word entrepreneurship or social purpose, social impact. But being a Filipino nonprofit, I was really interested. And so that's when I attended that talk. And he really, you know, spoke about the communities that are most in poverty and their lack of access to diversify crops, for example, in the Philippines, because we have very fertile land. And so, for example, we've had coca farms for centuries, yet there was no Filipino bean to bar Filipino chocolate company. And he was saying, there's really a missed opportunity here. And it dawned on me that Philippines has a very big import culture. And so they had an internship opening, and I immediately applied, and I was a research assistant at first. And then after college, I continued my work with them, and I specifically helped with in facilitating European business students to help with their social businesses that they created at their farm. And that was everything from, like I said, the chocolate company to using our local dairy, which is from a carabao, which is our local cow, and using their milk to make ice cream. And also from mushrooms, for example, because mushroom wasn't a big staple in Filipino cuisine, but with the rise of international restaurants, restaurants in the main city was needing it more. And so they worked with farmers from different local communities to diversify their crops and add more value. So I was helping with that. And then at the same time, as you mentioned, my mom, she was a very big DIYer. Like she would make her own cleaning products. She would use ketchup, vinegar. We always had so much vinegar in the house. And also with her skincare, she would always make her own lotions, deodorant, and everything. And so one thing that we did religiously was make a coconut oil hair mask. And in the summers when we were in the Philippines, we would, scrape the coconut meat from the actual coconut and then boil it into an oil and then apply that into our scalp, to promote like growth and get rid of dandruff to the ends of our hair. And at the same time, I also learned that 60% of coconut farmers in the Philippines lived below the poverty line. And the particular jar that I was using, I was a French brand called La Tourangelle. And then when I turned it over in small letters, it had said made in the Philippines. And then that's when it really, struck me that this was going to be my lifetime passion. This is when I say my coconut dream came to life, when I really wanted to create a clean coconut skincare brand that, really promoted the Filipino coconut oil as a point of pride for Filipinos and for the rest of the world. And I knew that coconut oil, especially from the Philippines, dominated the beauty and skincare market. And even, with coconut food products, we have it in everything, in coconut sugar, coconut flour. Yet, I really wanted to break that disparity and promote fair trade farming. And so through the nonprofit that I was working for, Gawad Kalinga, I connected with their fair trade coconut farm. And really, that's where it's all started, that I had the first jar of coconut oil. And the first idea that came to mind was to make lip balm, actually. And the reason why was because lip balm was something small. It was something that everybody needed. I wasn't even thinking from a business mindset so much at that point. I was thinking, it's for men, it's for women, it's for all ages, it's for kids. I can sell it to everybody. And with each one, we would donate a school meal back to the local community. And that part was really important to me. Going back to what I'm most passionate about, I think that with change that we want to make, it can seem very overwhelming. So I really wanted to show that small acts of change, small acts of kindness can really make a big impact. And to have something in your everyday life that you would use that contributed into making that change. So I started with lip balms. I had two flavors at the very beginning. One was lemongrass and the other was calamansi. And calamansi is a Filipino lemon that only exists in the Philippines. It's a very light citrus. And that was the second moment where I knew this was meant to be, because I had found a family business in the Philippines that made this into an essential oil, because you need thousands of calamansi to make any essential oil. And when I first made that lip balm, I thought I loved it because I was Filipino. So of course I'm going to love it. But, after sharing it with friends and family, people were very excited to also try something different and, try a taste of the Philippines in a very unique way. So those were the two first lip balms that I had.
So, what are some of the other products that you offer now as time has gone by?
My first pop-up market, I actually only was selling lip balms. And so before I even had a website, I started looking at craft markets, farmers markets, and I had my lip balms there. And for the lip balm tester jars, I had put them into small jars. And several customers that were trying the testers were saying, "Can I buy this jar? Can I because I use body balms. I use this all over my body. I use it, for my cuticles and for my elbows. And didn't even think about expanding into different products first. And so really that's where the idea came first, to get into body balms. And it was also really the idea to have a very minimalistic approach to your skincare, so that you can have something clean and organic, and something that was really affordable as well. That was really important to me, because what I realized in the beauty world is, I would kind of steal some jars from my mom, in her skincare when I was growing up, because it was very luxurious, and I would only use like a little pea-sized amount and only use it on the weekend, and only use it when I really needed it. And really, skincare is is supposed to be part of your lifestyle, something that you can use every single day without feeling bad about the price tag that's attached to it.
Talk a little bit about the working conditions and the financial situation of a lot of the farmers in the Philippines. Why was it so important for you to work with those people specifically?
So it was really important for me to work with fair trade farming because I think that in the last decade, there's been a strong focus on organic ingredients, which is really great. And we're moving towards the right way because we know that what we put on our skin absorbs into our bloodstream. But the way that I like to explain it is that how these organic ingredients are grown isn't necessarily grown in a very organic way with the people that they employ. And so that's where fair trade really comes in, is that it really ensures that the working conditions are safe and that they know their rights and also that they're not overworked. That was a very big thing that I had learned from the nonprofit that I worked with, that, especially a father who was a farmer and had 2 or 3 children and had to, pay for bills and schools and everything, would end up working, 12-hour days, 16-hour days, not knowing when their breaks could be, not having, sick days, sick paid days. And so that's where the fair trade, you know, really adds onto the organic. And I, really love connecting with different customers that really care about this advocacy in supporting fair trade ingredients as well.
What does Kaya mean? Why did you choose that as the name of the company?
That's the first question I get a lot in pop-ups is your name Kaya? Hi, Kaya. And I love the name Kaya, but my name is Sara. But Kaya in Filipino means we can do it. So Kaya ko in Tagalog means I can do it. And it's really a personal affirmation back to, what I'm most passionate about is, focusing on the individual level that each person can make a difference. And so it's that affirmation and really that when you come together as a community, kaya natin, which means we can do it, you really see that's where change is made. That's where the biggest impact is. And the power of the people as well, you see in that. So I knew I wanted it to also have a Filipino name because in the Philippines, there's this strong notion that anything that is high quality has a very Western name. And I really wanted to bring that point of pride to Filipinos, that, a love for our culture and our ingredients and our language as well.
You use a lot of Filipino phrases in your branding. Why did you want to do that?
It was really important for me to honor where we're rooted at, which is in the Philippines, and that is where we source our coconut oil from. And something that we launched this year in 2020 is our Artisan goods collection, and really that was my connection to the nonprofit. I've been connected to all these artisan communities that was upcycling fabrics, creating beautiful jewelry, beautiful home pieces, and going back to my mission, which with Kai Essentials, it's a lifelong business. It's a lifelong passion. I'm not here to have an exit strategy, and really looking how, where can I make more of an impact? And so that's where we launched our lifestyle line. And that was really difficult for me too, because I had introduced Kai Essentials for the last 3 years as a skincare brand. And I kind of, was scared to kind of go out of my comfort zone, or be put into a different box. And I realized I was limiting myself. And then I realized, wait a second, I'm the founder, I'm a solo entrepreneur as well. I own 100% of the business. Why can't I do this? And so that's where I began, really connecting with the artisan communities and figuring out the best pieces to first introduce the collection.
We're Amy and Nancy Harrington, and you're listening to the Passionistas Project podcast and our interview with Sara Koo. To learn more about Kaya Essentials, visit kayaessentials.com. Now here's more of our interview with Sara.
So, what are some of the challenges you face starting your own business?
So as I mentioned, I'm a solo entrepreneur. So it's really difficult when you have to be your own cheerleader and your biggest critic at the same time. And there's not really, you know, strong markers of success because you don't have a template to follow, you don't have goals that you've set with a team. And so, really, you have to have a lot of discipline. And especially at the start when you're doing everything, you're like every single part of building your business is a whole new template for you to learn. And so there was a lot of Googling. Luckily, I'm very autodidactic and would connect with any expert in one particular field, but it really got to me because a lot of days it felt very slow. And I realized I had to lean into those slow days and realize that, slow progress is the best progress, because I really wanted to focus on getting this right and really having an organic growth that would last for decades to come. But, it was hard to, especially at the start, have that motivation, have that belief in myself. And so, yeah, that was the biggest challenge. And also, imposter syndrome is very real. And for me, I don't have a business background. I lean towards more of the creative side. So in building the product, in coming up with my marketing materials or anything, that never came from the point of view of, okay, what's the trend right now in skincare? What are consumers, gravitating towards? And it really just came from an artistic approach. And so that was really difficult when, for example, I would share it with different communities, different people, and not having the strength to really believe, to hold that up. And I really loved when I heard Sarah Blakely. So she pronounces her name Sarah, the founder of Spanx, the first self-made female billionaire in America. And she said when she had the idea for Spanx, she didn't share it for the first year. She didn't even share it with her own boyfriend or her family. And she said when something is an idea so close to you, that's your little baby, you're so passionate about, you have to really take care of it. That really made an impression on me. And so I learned the hard way to be careful in, you know, what I would share, how I would grow, and, really finding the confidence in myself and carrying that through, even in the very slow days.
What are the challenges of working internationally?
Luckily, I have a business partner here in LA, and we source the fair trade coconut oil together, which, when you find I really believe in the law of attraction, and we were both connected to the Filipino nonprofit Gawad Kalinga. And when that happened to be, it was just it laid it all out. But there's a lot of planning ahead, and for someone who I'm a type of person who wants instant gratification, and also I have a huge attention to detail, which I really think that your best qualities can also be your worst qualities. And so it is really great, especially as a solo entrepreneur, because getting your website ready, doing packaging, doing customer service, everything. It's good that I have my lists and everything, but at the same time, especially with international orders, for example, in sourcing the ingredients, there's that overtime where you have the waiting period, and also that period of uncertainty sometimes, and not only from the international side of things, but just in the business side of things, that I personally find really difficult. And so again, it's just going with the flow, going with the ride, and realizing and accepting that every single day something's going to come up. There's going to be things that are short term focuses for the next month, and then some things that are long term. But carrying that through is a challenge, but it's also really exciting and really, really gratifying as well, to challenge yourself, and see what you can do.
How has the COVID-19 crisis affected your business, and maybe in particular working internationally?
Yeah, so with this COVID-19, I mean, for everyone, especially small business owners that have a face-to-face element, we've been put at a stop. And for Kai Essentials, that was mainly our pop-ups, our farmer markets, our craft markets and everything. That is where a lot of our business is from as well. And also with distribution to, we're in over 20 boutiques all over the US. Unfortunately, they've had to close as well. And so what we've been doing is putting our focus into our online community, and recognizing that, social distancing doesn't mean that it's a time, to shut off, and really finding ways to connect with one another. So that's been our main focus during this time. And we launched a program this week where for every single body balm we sell, we are donating a body balm to the front lines, and seeing how we can best, make an impact again during this time where possible.
Talk a bit about your production process. Do you make everything yourself?
Yes. So everything is handmade by me in my studio. So everything is made in small batches. And really, where I started, which was in the lip balm, that took me over a year to formulate. And even though it's three simple organic ingredients, it's beeswax, mango butter, coconut oil, all the different levels of the texture of butter and how that works um, in the heat when you have it in your bag to when it's cold, and the coconut oil and how that blends in. So that took me a really long time to perfect, but from there, it gave me a base to create our body bombs. And also, our body bombs are all infused with essential oils. And that was really important for me too, because one of the biggest chemicals in skincare is fragrances. And fragrances is basically a chemical construct to smell like a certain thing. So, for example, anything that smells like a banana isn't from a banana. It's impossible to get it from a banana. So it's all chemically formulated. And so that's where essential oils are really great, because they come from the actual herb or flower. And yeah, so everything is made in small batches. And that's really important too, because we don't use any silicones. So that's where the formula, to get a very smooth formula, silicones provides that gel consistency. But for us, we make it in small batches so that we don't have to use any silicones.
You talk about the cold centrifuged virgin coconut oil. So tell us what that is and what are the benefits of it.
So, cold centrifuge coconut oil is a spinning process that spins the coconut meat out from the coconut oil. And as it's a spinning process, it doesn't use any heat to boil the coconut oil out. And really, that gives a more refined coconut oil that retains more of its antioxidants, vitamins, nutrients, and really is coconut oil for your skincare that goes directly onto your skin or your hair, which is different to coconut oil that you cook with, where they boil it because you're going to heat it up anyway, and it's much faster for production to heat it up. And really, in the Philippines, they've been using this type of process for coconut oil for decades. And that's something that differentiation not a lot of people know about. And so I really wanted to share, their specialty and how they take care in processing this coconut oil that takes over 3 days to process from the coconut meat to the oil.
What's your dream for the future of Kaya Essentials?
My dream for Kaya Essentials is really to focus on how more we can make an impact. So, something that we also launched last year was our Conscious Coconut Club. And really, that came from the idea of bringing community together to give back, where I recognized that there was a space for galas and these big events, but usually the cost for a meal ticket was in the thousands. And I really felt that there was a lot of people that wanted to be part of giving back, part of this initiative, and they weren't able to take part in something like that. And so we hosted a dinner where each person came together, we had a meal, and we provided a meal back to the Philippines. And something that we've also introduced is providing school meals back to our local communities in the US, and that's our partnership with No Kid Hungry. And that really came from our community as well, that really wanted to take part in giving back locally too. Now with this new lifestyle line that we have, it's also just looking, expanding our brand, but always focusing on where we can more make an impact.
What's the biggest risk you ever took and how did it pay off?
I think the biggest risk I ever took was really focusing on what success meant to me and canceling out the noise and not comparing myself to others. And I say that because when you don't have that business background, when you are every single day not knowing where the template is, and even just as being an entrepreneur is a risk in itself. It's not the easy path. It's not comfortable. You have to find the comfort in the uncomfortable situations, and that's a big risk. But like any risk, it's very satisfying. It's great to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And after having lived all over the world, and also, having parents that are, that take a lot of risks. My dad left England when, he was in his 20s, and lived in and is a civil engineer, and worked in Africa, worked all over Asia. I think that just from a young age, kind of just going over the cliff and just going for it is the way that I've operated. But I would say that's the biggest risk.
So you just mentioned finding out what success means to you. So what is your definition of success?
My definition of success is really, in a business sense, looking at what is my mission, where I want to make, where I can make the most impact, and how that all fits with the rest of my life. I think balance is so important, and I know balance gets thrown around a lot, but really recognizing that you are the one that crafts and cultivates your life. And so you are in full charge of that. And, really living a life where, you don't want to look back and have regrets, and really trying, is the most, trying despite having any fears, to me is living a very successful life.
Is there any particular trait that you have that you feel has helped your success?
I would say the particular trait, that's really helped me succeed with Kai Essentials is being very frugal and scrappy, and not afraid to get into everything. I think that first had the idea for Kai Essentials. I was in my early 20s. I didn't have a lot of saving, or any savings actually. And it was an idea that I had, that I said, okay, I'm gonna do that maybe in my early retirement. That's how far ahead I was thinking, because I didn't know, what you like. I thought you needed so much investment and, capital to really start a business, and also not trusting myself that I would be able to learn all the different areas. And so, as I mentioned before, being autodidactic and just not afraid to learn everything from building a website on Shopify to researching all the different packaging. That's something that I underestimated as well in building a business, is how much thought and care has to go into packaging, and how, that really depends on so many things. And my friends will always say that I am the most frugal person that they've ever met. And it's just something that always came naturally to me. My mom was a domestic helper. When she was 17, she moved from the Philippines to Hong Kong, and she grew up in poverty in the Philippines, and she worked, under the table with her mom, with my grandma, in the factory, because my grandma was paid on the quantity of snacks that they were producing, that they were packaging, without an hourly wage. And so she brought her daughters, to help out. And my mom always taught me, to have a really strong work ethic, and not being afraid to, do the tasks you know, um, that are very time consuming as well. Because I think that when you start a business, you really have to do every single part. And so, for example, like I mentioned, I am crafting all of our products, and also packaging as well. And with each package, I write a personalized note to our customer. And that's something that I never want to let go of, because for me, someone who's joined our community and given me their hard working dollars to, be part of this, it really means a lot. And so, I really love connecting with my customers in that way. And so that's something that I'm never going to stop doing. But yeah, not being afraid to be scrappy. And when I talk to other female entrepreneurs that have an idea, that are starting out, I really say that there are so many different ways to grow a business, and do what feels right to you. It's really good to know every single pathway, and whether that's going down the investment route, having angel investors, or you know whatever it is, and knowing your strategy as well. So is that going to be wholesale? So do you need a manufacturer? How much quantity do you want to be able to produce? And breaking that down as well, because your profit in the end is different for all of those outcomes, and really focusing on what makes sense for you, not being afraid to start small either. I always share that the lip balm formula took me over a year to perfect. I was selling it first with just friends and family, and then with, what in pop-up markets, farmers markets, before I even had a website, because I couldn't even, put that on my plate to begin to think how it would look like to have a Kai Essentials website, and I still cringe at the first iteration of the website, and I love sharing that, because I say, taking your time, organically going through it, is the best way, because I learned so much that I couldn't rush. So not being afraid, be frugal, scrappy, and take your time, and define your own success as well, and how you want to build your passion.
Thanks for listening to the Passionistas Project podcast and our interview with Sara Ku. To learn more about Kaya Essentials, visit kayaessentials.com. And visit thepassionistasproject.com to learn more about our podcast and subscription box filled with products made by women-owned businesses and female artisans to inspire you to follow your passions. Our winter box with the theme Passionistas Pamper is on sale now and will ship just in time for the holidays. Sign up for our mailing list to get 10% off your first purchase. And be sure to subscribe to the Passionistas Project podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming inspiring guests. Until next time, stay well and stay passionate.